Nathan Judah. I'm here with Wolves reporter Mr. Liam Keane from the G-Tech. I can't believe I'm about to say this scoreline. Crazy game. Brentford 5, Wolverhampton Wanderers 3. Look, Gary Neal described it as the worst performance he's seen by a considerable distance as manager. When you come to away in any Premier League game and score 3 goals, you expect to go away with a win, with 3 points, probably 90% of the time. They've not only come away with not 3, not 1, 0, but lost the game by 2 goals. Just absolutely astonishingly bad.
And lost it comfortably as well. They're in the game for all of 5-10 minutes across 90. Look, they scored 3 goals. Going forward is not necessarily the overall problem. Against Liverpool it was, but overall, going forward they still look dangerous, they're still creating opportunities. 2 of the goals in particular, the 2 first half goals, were actually very well worked and very good goals. But the defending was atrocious again. I mean, it's schoolboy stuff, it really is. Credit, first of all, to Mario Lemina, who has come out and spoken to me after the game, done an interview which will be out Sunday night. As captain, you have to come out and do that.
You've got to.
He has to come out and do it, and he's been level-headed, and he's spoken honestly and thoroughly through where the issues lie here. But a player, and credit to him for that, and that's leadership, and I respect it. But his performance was horrendous. He wasn't the only one. Totti Gomez, a player I'm a fan of, all over the place. I could go through the vast majority of the team. To be honest, João Gomez takes 20 touches before making a pass. Players that are way better than that as well, and players that are far. You know, these aren't poor footballers. These are players who have played at the Premier League level and performed consistently. The mistakes that Wolves made were way beyond the kind of errors they should make at this level, and it's not just this game, it's almost every game they've made errors, and defensively it was just terrible.
Completely devoid of confidence, aren't they, at this moment in time?
Yeah.
You look at it and there's no hiding place, and they're getting, I mean, look, Brentford are a decent enough setup, but they've got lots of injuries. Like you say, they're playing 4 centre-backs across the back 4. They've lost Visa, obviously, Tony's gone as well, and every single set piece, they looked petrified. They could have scored 8, 9, 10 goals here today. Honestly, it was an embarrassment. And you speak to the fans afterwards, and they're furious. Look, there were audible boos there. There was some chanting. Look, fans. A lot of the fans aren't happy with Gary Neal. A lot of the fans are looking towards Fosun and the ownership. We've got to look to the players as well, as you just said there as well. They've got to take some responsibility. But it's a mess at this moment in time. Wolves are 20th, and you talk about this difficult period of games that they're playing, and it is very difficult. They've got the hardest strength of schedule, and they've got Manchester City next, and they go away to Brighton before it gets, in inverted commas, a little bit easier. I don't think it's going to get any easier, because if you play like that, if you continue to play, you're going to get beat by these teams as well, and you're going to start getting cut adrift. Something needs to change. Gary O'Neill offered, absolutely no excuses whatsoever. He's furious, I think. But he said that these mistakes will never ever happen again. He's never seen some of those mistakes. It's very difficult to replicate them. But like you say, Liam, each week these mistakes are creeping in, and that's the problem. That's the worrying thing. Absolutely.
These are individual, experienced footballers. It was Semedo last week with the penalty. It's Lemina this week with the penalty. Lemina for the 3rd goal. I could go through each goal and look at where the problems were. The worst goal for me, probably by far, is that Ethan Pinnock goal. I think that's absolutely dreadful. Goal. How is a Premier League team conceding from that corner?
And that distance as well.
Exactly what I was about to say. He's 15 yards out. He's unmarked. Larsson doesn't get close enough to him. Wins the header, and I've got no idea how he gets through. Johnson's flat-footed, goes past him. He had a poor game again today. Amongst almost the whole side, really. It's nowhere near good enough from the players. At the same time, Gary Neal has to make a change, and he's basically said that in the press conference, hasn't he? I mean, you were in there, I wasn't in there at the time, speaking to Lemina, but he said that something's got to give, there's got to be a system change here, formation change. And to be honest, I said this in there, last week for me was the week to do it. Didn't do it, almost got a result, albeit more defensive errors. Because he didn't do it last week, you couldn't do it here. No. There's no way you could come here to Brentford and do it. It has to happen now. With Man City after that international break, you have to make that change now.
From a 4 to a 3.
And I think it'll be a 3 or back 5, however you want to phrase it. I think that's what we'll see. Whether it's all 3 centre-backs playing, whether it's Stock playing at centre-back, whatever it might be, I think that's what we're going to see. And I think Wolves have to do it.
He said there needs to be a rethink. He's got to rethink it, and basically said that he can't have the players playing the system. They haven't got the ability, or at least at this moment in time, playing the system that he wants to play. So he's got to change. He's got to change.
The 3 midfield's not working.
It's not working at all.
It's not working at all.
He's talked about getting the best players on the pitch, but at this moment in time, I'm not sure that that's the case. I don't think you just play your best players in different positions. It's obviously not working. Andre was pulled today. I thought it was a bit harsh for Andre to get pulled, but you can understand it when they've got to get back into the game.
Exactly.
João Gomez, Mario Lemina, like these 3 are not working because yes, the defence was poor, but the way that you talk about these 3 central midfielders, the way that Brentford cut through the midfield today as well was astonishing. Astonishing. This is Brentford we're talking about here. The fans are angry, and you can understand that as well. And look, they want someone to blame, and people have got to start taking responsibility. And I think, is it the ownership? Is it the manager? Is it the players? It's probably a combination of all 3.
I was going to say exactly that. I think it has to be. Spoken to Lemina out there. And I say I can't give away exactly what he said because it is under embargo. As I say, for Sunday night we'll be able to read exactly what he said. But basically taking responsibility as the players. Gary Neal's done that in there. At the same time, I think they've been left short in the summer, or Gary has rather. At the same time, he has to make a system change, has to make a formation change. I think they've naively and stubbornly stuck with what they have been doing for 1 or 2 games too long. And that means that for me the blame is spread. I don't think anyone's innocent in this scenario. And Wolves
Are we innocent?
fans, well, I'd like to think so.
Definitely not innocent.
Wolves fans deserve a lot better. I feel incredibly sorry for Wang Hee-chan as he's coming on, and him being his substitution being booed with chants of "you don't know what you're doing." I understand why the fans do it. He's bang out of form at the moment. He's nowhere near his level. He's not playing anywhere near how he can play. But he is a good footballer who means well and is trying. I feel sorry for him on a personal level, but that feels like a watershed moment. As soon as fans start to chant those kind of chants, start to complain about decisions, it happened to Bruno Lage. I'm not suggesting for a moment that Gary Neal's going to be gone, and the noise from being here today is that he's not going anywhere and he's got time. But there has to be a change quickly. It does not get any easier. Man City at home. You need something. You need some sort of impact.
You do, but I think the time has gone from we're playing well in periods. End of the day, you've got to start getting results. I don't care whether you have to shit house a 1-0 or a 0-0 or something like that. But you've got to get a result. And I think almost like the performance almost has to go out the window now. You've got to start getting results, and then hopefully you fingers crossed, you pull away from the bottom of the table, and then you've got a little bit more freedom, and then you can do a little bit more. But at this moment in time, nothing's going to help Gary O'Neill. Nothing's going to help Fosun. Nothing's going to help this football club apart from getting points on the board, however which way they do it. And it might be some ugly games of football. It might have to be. They go to Brighton, difficult game, try and get 0-0 out there. Southampton at home could be a terrible game of football, just win it 1-0.
Well, I got Palace at home.
Palace at home as well. But
it's not an easy game, that, by the way.
No, it's not. But there's going to have to be something's going to have to give, and I feel like this free-flowing 4, which, let's be honest, a lot of the fans wanted to see a 4. They wanted to see a 4 a long time, and they get the 4, and maybe they haven't got the players to do it. And I think Gary O'Neill's now understood that he perhaps hasn't got the players at this moment in time, with the way their confidence levels are, to play what he wants to play. So he's got to change. He's got to pivot. He's got to go to a back 3 now, albeit only 3 centre-backs. Mosquera out for the season. You've got Santiago Bueno, Totti Gomez, and Craig Dawson, all of whom are not in great form at this moment in time. But maybe a back 3 can help that. Releases one of your best players in the side, right, in order to play, gives Nelson Semedo a little bit more freedom as well. But they've got to get a point. They've got to go and try and get a point against Manchester City. They've got to try and get some points on the board, because we can't keep sitting here or standing here and talking about good periods in games. I'm not going to say there was good periods in the games today, but there wasn't. But previous games we have done, and Gary said that it's just out the window now. They need to start picking up some results.
Couldn't agree more. And I'll highlight one other thing that I didn't like. The players make their way over at full time. There's a sort of mixture between applause and anger. It's not a completely hostile environment from the away end, but there's definitely some angry people in there. And I unfortunately have to include Gary Neal in this. but the vast majority of the staff and players didn't really make much of an effort. They walked sort of halfway, clapped a little bit, hands in the air, apologising, and very quickly got out of there. 2 or 3 players, I think Cunha Larson, a couple of them made a bit of an effort with the supporters. Aitnoy was the first player over there. Because he's the first player, I don't think it's specifically because of him, but because he was the first player, got a bit of stick, went off in a huff, throwing his hands, and walked straight down the tunnel after that. They have to start taking some accountability. The fans have got every right to be pissed off with that. You have to take some accountability. It was bad on so many levels here today, and now the accountability has been taken in interviews. Credit to Gary Neal and Lamina, as I say, for coming out and being honest, because how many managers have we sat here and they've come in and gone, this is the problem, that's the problem, it's not me, it's nothing to do with the team, it's nothing to do with the formation, I'm not going to make a change. At least he's coming out and being honest about it, and you have to respect that. But it's also going to do nothing to appease the fans tonight, travelling home, spending their money to come here again and going home again after that absolute mess.
It's probably like 3-4 people today. You're looking at £200 to go to a game of football today. You look at the season ticket price rises in the summer that cause an absolute stink, and quite rightly so. You're looking at benchmarking against the likes of Aston Villa and Fulham. I mean, you should be benchmarking, albeit the likes of Brentford at this moment in time. You can understand that when people are paying good money, you can understand that there's a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, and you can't just keep on taking it on the chin. So of course it's going to break, and I think it broke today. Like you say, watershed moment. The problem will be, and it'll be very interesting when they get back to Molineux. Now, if this is in Molineux and you've got 35,000 people singing it, that's as loyal as a fan base as you're going to see on away games. Absolutely top draw. And almost, they're the ones who'll give you more time than probably the home.
I completely agree.
They will definitely give you the more time. But they've turned today, and you can understand their frustration. So there's a lot of work to do. You're not going to have a lot of this squad to work with because they're going away on internationals, but you've got 2 weeks now to try and get a game plan, to try and change things up. They've worked on 4 all pre-season. You're almost going to have a mini pre-season now to try and retrain this team and get something out of them, because these next 3, 4, 5 games are massive for the manager, for the ownership, and for these players.
And I think they need that international break, to be honest. If Man City's up in 6-7 days time from now, that's tough going. I think they need this break, I really do, and hopefully the international players will come back in fit and available, and they'll have enough time to work with them, because it was so bad out there. It really was defensively so poor. But as you say, look, as it stands, all the noises from Wolves are, I think they understand Gary Neal's been left a little bit short. They understand a lot of players are letting him down. There's a belief that he will turn it around. It is only 7 games into the season still. As it stands, Gary Neal's going nowhere. Wolves are not cut adrift. I think it would be a few more games yet before there are question marks over his position and where he will go from here. But they've got to get a tune out of these players very quickly.
I mean, for me, they've got the ability. They have got the ability to win Premier League games. I mean, that's the frustrating thing. You look at some of these players on the pitch today and coming off the bench, and these are top draw international players. That's the annoying thing, is that they can go there, they can get results there, and it's just not happening. And like you say, whether it's the formation, whether it's what they've been asked to do, whether it's the roles that they're not good enough to do at this moment in time, whether there's a cohesion there, the body language is shocking, and it's just a mess. It's an absolute mess at this moment in time, and you can't say anything else, and you can't defend them, and we don't defend them, and people will go back and forth. Like, we ask the questions, we'll be there, but you've got to give an honest opinion. At this moment in time, that is not good enough. That is as bad a first 7 games as you are likely to see in the Premier League. We knew it was going to be difficult. We knew they're going to have very poor, very top draw sides that were playing, and poor performances. And when you lose, and you lose by, you concede 5 at Brentford. Hopefully, this is the lowest point that you're going to get this season. Hopefully, it isn't turning it around. But it's a big 2 weeks ahead.
Big 2 weeks. Man City, Brighton. Easier said than done. You can't lose 2 games. You can't lose.
No, I don't think you can.
You have to get something. You face Palace at home. Not an easy game. Southampton at home.
When 1-0 up at Arsenal today.
Exactly. On paper, a game Wolves should win. At the moment, I wouldn't back Wolves against any team, unfortunately. But you are right. They have the quality. The quality's there. Yes, they're short centre back. They're short in certain positions. They've got a lot of young players on the bench. But look at the amount of players that didn't even get an opportunity today. Look at some of the substitutions. I didn't think Gary helped himself particularly with those ones. The quality's there. It's about that confidence, maybe that tiny bit of luck, just a result from somewhere. You get that, you see the tide turn, I think, relatively quickly here, but it's about getting it. And that's the thing that's easier said than done.
Brentford 5, Wolves 3. For all the post-match reaction, make sure you log on to expressandstar.com.